Hi, my name is Melissa Daniels and I have strabismus. Strabismus is when your eyes don't point in the same direction, like this. Now, did you know there have actually been studies done that show a correlation between having strabismus or an eye turn and mental health disorders like depression and anxiety? I don't know why this is. It might be because we get made fun of when we're younger in elementary school about our eye turn, being misunderstood by people every time we talk to them and they're wondering if you're talking to them. Or maybe it's just this constant worry about what your eyes are doing and where they're pointing. And all of these things compound and make it more likely to get depression or anxiety. I don't really know, but there is a correlation. But hopefully you've taken statistics before so you understand that correlation is not causation. Having strabismus doesn't mean that you are destined for a life without success, marriage, a job, or friends. There is so much that is still possible, even if you do have your eyes pointing in different directions. I have 3 tips for people that have strabismus that I think have really made a big difference for me and that could really help you overcome some of these mental health issues. So I want to start with a disclaimer. If you have been diagnosed with depression or anxiety, I am not a professional. I am not able to diagnose that or give treatment for it. This is just some basic things about how I live my life that helps me deal with the strabismus in a way that I don't do this, spiral downwards in depression. So there's my disclaimer. This is not a treatment for a medical diagnosis. And also, if you want to learn more about strabismus and how it works, and if you have whatever eye problems you might have, go to learn.strabismussolutions.com, and I have some really great free resources over there. Okay, so let's get started. What can you do if you have strabismus and you are feeling depressed and anxious about having strabismus? What are some things that you can do to help get out of that and into a more productive space? First, I'd like to tell you an analogy about being at the state fair. Now, I'm a mom, so this definitely makes sense to me. I want you to imagine that, you could imagine me or yourself with your kids or you with your mom, depending on how old you are. You're at the state fair and you've got this mom and she's got a bunch of kids. And they all brought jackets and water bottles to the fair. And as the day goes on, the kids are, it gets hot, take off their jacket and say, "Hey, Mom, can you hold this?" And Mom's like, "Sure, I'll hold it." And then water bottles and things that they buy at the booth, different things. And the mom starts holding all of these jackets and water bottles and bags, and her arms are completely full, right? How many of us have done this with our own mom or been the mom holding everybody's stuff? I know I have been on both sides of that. And then the kids say, "Hey, Mom, let's go on a roller coaster." And she says, "I can't. I'm holding all your stuff." And then the kids are like, "Mom, you're so lame. You never do anything fun. Why can't you just be awesome and go on the roller coaster like the other moms?" And the mom's sitting here thinking, I've been trying so hard to make this day fun for you. Like and you can totally relate to this, right? The mom is like trying her best, but then she can't go on the roller coaster, right? And then the kids are upset. Okay, so what does this have to do with depression and vision? It maybe feels like a bit of a stretch, but it's not, I promise. So your brain and your eyes are like the mom in this analogy, okay? When you were born, something maybe wasn't right with your visual system, right? Maybe it just automatically, you had some genetics that predisposed you to not use both eyes or to have an eye turn. And so your brain tried to figure that out. Whether it was maybe you had amblyopia when I was completely not working, your brain was like, "Okay, what are we going to do?" And the brain started trying to figure this out, right? The brain is like the mom, like, "Okay, all these kids have jackets. Okay, I guess I'm going to start holding them for these people." And so the brain's like, "Okay, I have an idea. Since this vision is really blurry and this one's really clear, I'm going to just move the eye out so that we can see clearly," right? That might be a solution that the brain comes up with. Or maybe the brain decides to blur the vision so that you don't have double. There's so many different things. So your brain and your eyes are constantly trying to figure out how to cope with strabismus. It's trying to make it so that you don't have double vision and that you can get around in your life free and easy, right? It's been trying to protect you. And then how do we respond? We're like the kids, like, you're so lame. Why won't you go on the roller coaster, right? That's what we do to ourselves. We're like, oh, I'm so ugly and my eyes are so stupid and my brain sucks and I don't work. And do you know that your brain is actually working like twice as hard as anybody else's, trying to help you see in a constructive way? And you know what? Your brain might not be that good at it, but it is trying so hard. That's why you get headaches and you're exhausted and you might get dizzy or nauseous, because your visual system is just, they're trying to figure it out and they're not succeeding maybe. But what I want you to understand here is that can you, instead of hating your brain, hating your eyes, hating everything about yourself, can you find a little bit of compassion? Can you look at your brain and say, thank you for trying so hard. You're not quite hitting the mark, but thank you for trying, right? Your brain is working so hard. Can you find compassion? Can you find appreciation and gratitude for your brain? I know this sounds kind of like maybe a little woo-woo, but I'm telling you, this can change everything. Just this thought about being grateful for your vision. You spend so much of your life hating your eyes. I know when your eyes don't look the same as everybody else, it's hard. I've been there too, but it doesn't help you get anywhere. So look for some compassion. Here are some thoughts that you might try, and they might not all resonate for you, but do any of these, could you adopt these thoughts when you start going into the I hate my brain and I hate my eyes mode? Can you instead switch over to I love you, brain. Thank you for working so hard for me. Or maybe my body has worked so hard trying to fix my vision my whole life, but it's confused. Now I'm going to help it. Here's another one. Everyone has something to overcome. Mine is to teach my brain how to use both eyes and to help my brain. Another one. Oh, brain, there you go again, trying to help me. I love you, but no thanks. We're going to learn a new way of doing things. I've got you. Okay? Can you talk to your brain? Can you love your brain? Love your eyes. I know you're probably like, it's not my brain that's the problem. It is. When your eyes aren't pointed in the same direction, that's not your eye problem. It's a brain problem. Your brain doesn't know how to use both eyes. And so that's why I keep talking about your brain. Your brain is trying to figure this out. It might need a little help. But if you can come from compassion, it's going to make the biggest difference. Instead of spiraling into depression and hate and those really unhappy feelings, you can be empowered to find solutions. Like, okay, my brain has tried a lot of stuff, but it needs some help. And that's why I'm here. I'm going to help my brain figure this out. Okay, so that's step number 1. Love your brain. Love your eyes. Love yourself. Okay, the second tip for getting rid of some of the depression and anxiety that come with strabismus, ditching the victim mentality. I've heard a lot over the last few years. I've heard a lot of people saying some things about themselves because they have strabismus. Things like, nobody will hire me because my eyes aren't straight. If my parents had done X, Y, or Z, my life wouldn't be so hard. If my doctors had only been honest, talented, open-minded, better, whatever, I wouldn't be dealing with this. I am depressed because I was bullied as a child. Do any of those resonate? Is there something you would add to that list? I want you to look at all of those. Nobody will hire me because my eyes aren't straight. I'm depressed because I was bullied. All of those things are putting the power somewhere else. You're saying, oh, other people are mean, so I have to be depressed. Or my eyes aren't straight. Nobody will hire me. You're at the effect of everybody else around you. I would compare this to giving the remote control to your feelings to a 2-year-old, right? You're letting everybody else determine what you can and cannot do because you have strabismus. You have strabismus, yes, And there are challenges that come with that. But saying that you can't get a job or can't get married or can't do anything because of a doctor or a parent, that is leaving you completely powerless. When everybody else has control over you, or even the strabismus does, you don't get, there's like no hope, right? You don't have any hope. And that can lead to depression. When you feel like there's no hope and there's nothing that you can do, it's because you are playing the part of the victim, that you are powerless. And that's not true. You are not the victim. There is so much you can do. There are so many different steps you can take. So what is the antidote for the victim mentality? And I will tell you, this is probably my hardest thing in life. In every situation that I come to, I love to be the victim. It's my favorite. I'm always like, oh, they were so mean to me, or that person cut me. I'm always blaming other people for my problems. If I'm late, it was someone else's fault. If I'm sad, someone made me sad. So I definitely experienced a lot of time in that victim mentality. And here are the things that have made the biggest difference for me in overcoming that. First, take a responsibility for the role that you play. Okay? Look at this and say, okay, what have I done to not get a job? When you say, I can't get a job because I have strabismus, what do you have control over? You have control over making your resume amazing. You have control over being prepared. You have control over dressing nice. You have control over making eye contact and being upfront about strabismus. Like, there's so many things that you can control in that interview that they don't control, that the strabismus isn't going to stop you from controlling. I see a lot of people show up to their interview and do this, right? And they're like real sad about things, and they won't make eye contact, and they're all shifty and nervous, and they don't even prepare because they're like, I'm not even going to get the job. Why would I even prepare, right? That's being a victim. That's saying like, oh, I can't control anything. But there's so much that you can do. I actually have a whole article about how to get a job and how to ace an interview when you have strabismus, and that's over at strabismussolutions.com/interview. I think I'll put the right one right here if I'm wrong. Okay, anyways, so take responsibility for the role that you have and what you can control, right? What can you do in that situation? Second, be proactive. That's the same thing. You're going to look for actions that you can take. Stop worrying about things that you are outside of your control, but worry about what you can do. Third, have gratitude. Okay? We already talked about that. Be grateful for the opportunities that you have. Be grateful for your situation in life, for it bringing you to where you are, accepting where you're at instead of being sad about it. Allow others to be wrong about you, right? When you want to be like, oh, they didn't hire me because I have strabismus, and instead of being like, I'll never succeed, you can say, they're wrong about me, and that's okay. The next person will understand how amazing I am, and I'll get the job. And don't make it about your eye turn. Just they were wrong about you, and that's okay. Learn from the past, but don't live there, right? You can have a whole host of trauma in your past, right? We all have some things in our past that have shaped who we are, right? The getting made fun of on the playground, whatever it is that you are facing, whatever trauma you have from the strabismus from yesterday, you can look at that and you can say, okay, what am I going to learn from this? And how am I going to use that to propel me forward? So learn from the past, but don't live there. Don't sit there and be like, well, I guess I'll be here forever because I had kind of a hard childhood, so probably going to have a miserable life, right? We don't want to be stuck there. So learn and then move to the future. I would also like to say, for anyone who thinks they can't get married, they can't get a job, all of these different things, that's just not true. For every person with strabismus that can't get a job or is not married or doesn't have friends or doesn't leave the house, you can find a person with the exact same diagnosis, with the same degree of eye turn, with every single issue, with the same past, with getting made fun of, and they are successful in a job. They can get married. They are able to have a happy, fulfilled life. So having strabismus isn't the deciding factor. It's not if you have strabismus, you have a miserable life. And if you don't, you're happy. There are plenty of people that have the same problem and they are able to have success. So don't let that victim mentality stop you from moving forward, right? Let that, turn it around with the gratitude so that you can stay positive and not get stuck in that depression. Okay, the third way that I like to fight depression is just to be proactive. And I already kind of mentioned this a little bit, but I'm talking specifically about looking for solutions. You do have an eye turn, right? It probably does look weird to other people. And I can say that because I lived 32 years of my life with a very severe eye turn. Okay. It is hard to have conversations, right? Like it's okay. It's okay for it to be hard. It's okay to not want that. Don't get stuck in the victim, but there's no reason to not look for solutions. Like, why not? Yeah. It would be easier if your eyes are straight and you had depth perception. It definitely makes a difference. So be proactive. I remember about 4 years ago when I was at the beginning of my journey and I was really coming to terms with how severe my eye turned. And it was a really hard time for me. I was very depressed. I didn't want to leave the house. I thought that life was just pretty bad. And I thought this is impossible. Fixing my eyes is impossible. I can't, everything was negative. Everything was like that victim mentality. And I just kept sinking worse and worse and worse. And I went and met with my surgeon and he said, there's no way vision therapy can help you. Like maybe 1% to 2% of people have success with that. And I'd go to doctors and people and they all thought I was crazy and it was too much money. And I decided, I listened to them and I was like, I guess this is just my life. Okay. It was so sad. And then I decided to get a life coach because I was really struggling and I didn't know how to get out of that hole. And I remember her talking to me and she said, is there any, because she didn't understand the diagnosis at all, right? She doesn't know anything about strabismus. She said, well, is it possible for you to get your eyes straight? And I was like, well, yeah, I think so. I'm like, I think it's happened before. Like, there's Sue Berry. And she's like, okay, so why aren't you listening to her? And why aren't you listening to the people that can help you get better? Like, why are you listening to all these people who can't help you? I was like, well, I don't know. I guess I just, I was feeling sad and I wanted people that were telling me stories that fit that narrative, that fit that depressed and sadness part of my life. And she said, well, if I were you and if you want your eyes to get better, I would fill your mind with the people who can help you get better. And there was something that just switched for me right then. I thought, yeah, I want my eyes to get better. I'm going to for sure start listening and subscribing to the people who, and I don't mean just subscribing like on YouTube. I mean really following the principles that they teach. That's what I'm going to do. And that's how I'm going to get better. And from that day forward, I was able to take responsibility for what I could control, have compassion for myself, make a plan, move forward, find the right professionals. So be proactive. Look for the people that are offering the solutions that you need and then listen to them. Don't listen to the naysayers. Don't listen to the people who are negative and you go on the Strabismus support group and there's these people that are just like negative. You don't have to listen to them. You can choose to listen to the positive. It's not dangerous. It'll actually make you so much happier and make you a lot better at finding solutions. If you want to know more about, surgery, vision therapy, all these different options, I do have some free quizzes you can take at learn.strabismussolutions.com. They can kind of like get you going in the right direction so you know whether you might want to go find an ophthalmologist or an optometrist that can help you get going on your way. And I do want to add that you're not meant, you are human, right? We are here on this earth having a human experience. And that means we're not going to be happy all the time. There are going to be times when we feel sad and it's not always about like, oh, nope, you just have to think happy thoughts and always be happy and be a robot, right? You can live and be sad. There's times where I'm just discouraged and I let that be for a day, sometimes 2 days, sometimes 3 days. And I just say, okay, I'm going to feel discouraged about strabismus for a little while. I'm just going to feel sad and feel like maybe I'll never get better. And I let that kind of just happen. And as I allow myself to feel that, it kind of moves me through the experience and gets me ready for the next stage. So I'm not saying resist sadness or resist frustration. I'm just saying, is there something you can do to change the way you're thinking about yourself and about your condition? Is there something that you can switch in your brain that will help you be more equipped to be proactive and move forward? So good luck. Look for the gratitude. Where can you find gratitude on your journey? And I want to hear all about it. So send me emails, melissa@strabismussolutions.com. You can also contact me on my Instagram, on the website. I want to hear about your journey. I want to hear how you're facing depression and how you're overcoming that. I love to interact with you guys. So I'm excited to hear from you, and hopefully this can help somebody. We'll see ya.